Hey, team, and welcome back to another episode of your Arizona Monthly Housing Market Update. I am Katie, and this is
Matt and
Ryan. Welcome back, everyone.
What's Up. Let's kick it off like we always do. I know everybody is dying because of some recent news that's come out. Everybody is dying to know what is going on the rate front. So, Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, gosh, it's a very important month for mortgage rates and really just all rates in general. And it's because of the Federal Reserve meeting that's happening on September 16th and 17th. It's important because it's almost certain that for the first time since last December, the Fed will most likely be cutting rates. And just a reminder, no, the Federal Reserve has a dual mandate. Basically that they have two primary goals, and it's to maximize employment and to have price stability. So, when I say price stability, that's really keeping inflation low. And we have seen inflation drop significantly since its peak in 2022. We have seen some hotter readings over the past few months, and there's been some fear that tariffs could pressure prices higher. But really, the big story and the main focus now is the weak jobs market. The last Friday, it's made huge news, is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, that they reported that only 22,000 jobs were created in August, which was much weaker than estimates. And the two prior months were also revised a lot lower. And June even came in negative. We hadn't seen that in 54 months, a negative jobs reading. So, with this weak report, it's nearly certain that the Fed will cut rates by at least a quarter. Some are saying maybe 0.5%, but it's most likely just a quarter, but we'll see. And that will be on September 17th. And this news, it already caused mortgage rates to really hit their lowest levels of the year. Government loans like FHA, VA, and everything, that they're in the mid fives right now. And conventional loans are near 6%. So this is very encouraging for the housing market. And, it's been a little, flat this year, and it seems to be heating things up. Is that what you guys are seeing?
Absolutely. And Tina from the Cromford report, which you guys know that I live and die by, always says once we hit that 6% mark, things are going to really change here. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see the very beginnings of it. Of course, it's been the last couple of weeks that things have started going in that direction. I have a chart to show you. Would you like to see my chart?
See it.
Of course you would. Of course. Again, this is the Cromford report. This comes directly from Cromford. I pulled this morning, so it's as accurate as we can possibly get here. And you can see what I love about this chart is there is a very bold blue line showing you where the balanced market lies. So you can see that here on my chart. Sorry, I wasn't pointing my cursor in the right spot. But you could see that on the chart, and it nearly cuts the chart in half, right? So that is our balance line, and this is all the entire valley, all things considered, right? Like the whole entire MLS. I don't have it split out by different price points or different areas or anything like that. So this is just can't say the word. This is all of them put together, guys. And you can sort of see this is August, right at the end. I know it's very small, but you can sort of see that line starting to tick back up to a balanced market. And, boots on ground, we have definitely seen that as well. I know the last couple of episodes, I have talked about our own listings and receiving multiple offers. We still had listings that got multiple offers over the summer, even though it was a little bit more quiet, but I'm starting to see people be a little bit more eager now. It's a little bit more aggressive. It's coming a little sooner. For example, I listed a property on Thursday of last week. It was just a, entry level home, about 400,000, and within 24 hours I had an offer, and we are now sitting in multiple. So definitely seeing some movement out there. I think it's a little bit of a relief for those who have been dying to get into something, been dying to put an offer in, but the numbers just weren't quite penciling out for them, and we're starting to see that now. But I don't know that this window is going to last forever, guys.
Yeah, we're starting to see kind of the same thing on our side. I like to say boots on the ground because, just kind of talking to the ones in the thick of things can kind of report things right away. And it was even reported on mortgage banking associations here that year over year purchase applications, now that they're up 20% just from the recent kind of jump that we've seen. And even for us, our applications had jumped over the past week, because I think it's starting to kind of trickle through that activities increasing. It's kind of a busier time of the year. Now kids are back at school. And just with that combined report that rates are improving, it's just kind of we're seeing, everything really heat up at the same time.
Totally agree. And I'm going to just hang back on that advice that we were giving everybody over the last couple of months, because what I meant by I don't think this window is going to be here forever is I think that people are going to start to catch on to this. They're going to start to realize it, sellers as well. And they're going to know that, hey, we don't need to be giving so much in concessions anymore.
Yes.
We don't need to be, putting on new roofs when really there's no leak in the roof and we don't have to. So if you are a buyer out there that is eager to get the best deal, right? So hard to time the market, I would seriously look at it right now, because I think things are going to start moving in the other direction, as we're already seeing the beginnings of.
Yes.
Matt?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think one of the biggest indicators that I usually try to put my finger on to read the pulse is where are the investors at? They're going to really tell us where things are headed. Ultimately, I've noticed a big uptick in the long-term investment as far as investors holding. So I see them picking things up and ultimately moving way more aggressively than they have in the past. And that's always been something I've been looking for, to say, hey, when we see these guys jump off the fence, that's really going to be a telltale sign, because these are non-emotional purchasers. These are people that are doing this for an investment, and it's all about risk. So they're really looking at it and saying, hey, what is the upside? What is the downside? And where do we come in? And I think everything that you're saying right now, speculation is very, very fruitful at this point. I think everyone anticipates rates to go down. I think everyone understands that we're not in this deep buyer's market, that it's going to take months to become a seller's market again. No. And
I just showed that to you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people understand that. So seeing the investors, and firsthand, we just locked one up recently last week or the week before for an investor long-term. And we were targeting this one neighborhood, and we locked it up, great price. And not even 7 days later, 4 of the competitive properties went under contract.
Yep.
So there's nothing else. So I think everyone else saw exactly what we were saying. And I talked to the agents to kind of get a feel, and a couple were investors, and a bunch were, 2 of them were homeowners, and they paid almost list price. So I think you're exactly seeing that. And to what you were saying, Tina, from Crumford Report, she gives out some really good information. And the Phoenix Business Journal, they cited her in an article that was released a couple of weeks ago, and they were just talking about the inventory level and saying, oh, it's poised to go up, kind of a little bit of a fear. Hey, the sky's type falling episode, news article to get those clicks. And it's funny because they just extracted like one little piece of what Tina was saying and put it together with some other stuff to put this narrative together. But I was kind of like scratching my head as I read this a week after it, and I'm like, I'm not seeing that same thing. And sure enough, you pull the most recent today's stats, and it shows that. And one of the things she said in this article was really interesting, is that people need to be very much engaged with the most real-time news, because the second you start to buy things or decide to buy because you're hearing it from others, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
It's just like the old stock saying, if you hear people giving you advice on buying a stock, most of the time, if this person doesn't eat, sleep, and breathe stocks and it's just general information, it's probably too late. You've already seen those big rises. Same here. So if you are a buyer that's really trying, you need to purchase, but you'd really like to get that good deal, be very critical of yourself to stay real time with that news, because you could be overcritical and find yourself waiting a little bit too long and become in a little bit more of a competitive market.
Totally get that. And where would you suggest to people out there, just, regular old Joes, get their information? Because that is important too.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is kind of tapping into resources like we offer, and making sure that you have a really good relationship with a real estate or mortgage professional, someone that you trust. So you can ask them these real-time questions. Hey, what are you seeing? Social media is an amazing tool as well, because it allows you kind of peruse between what people on the ground are saying and what the news and talking heads might be saying, and then relating some of those talking heads together to say, all right, this isn't matching up. And you can usually put, 2 + 2 together to say, all right, this is either BS or, this is really good information.
You've got to be careful on social media, though, because of the whole clickbait thing and because
100%.
of influencers that get paid from these social media channels for the clicks, for the views. Because I don't know about you guys, but on YouTube, for example, we'll just use YouTube. I love YouTube. I have been seeing that the market here in Phoenix is going to crash since 2020. Like, I'm still seeing it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I also think, like, once again, we're almost being conditioned to become, with social media becoming this new, the most prominent, I'd say, medium for news. You've also got to just be very skeptical. And obviously, if it's like a paid, sponsored, or something like that, and you really want to be critical of it and say, all right, what's this? What's the article? Is it clickbait? Is it what I want to read? Usually you don't want to see that. It's more of finding people that you have been following, that have been right, that have called it, that you do feel comfortable with.
Or that have the chops. We have there's some people out there, I laugh because they don't have a real estate license. They've never sold a house in their life. And here they are, influencers with all these subs, which is subscribers. I learned that from my 11-year-old. All these subs, and they I'm getting hungry. And they don't even have the experience or truly the knowledge behind them to be spouting off this kind of information. And so that kind of frustrates me here and there. And I hope that people are wise enough to be able to differentiate, those from the experts, the ones that do have the experience, the ones that are boots on ground, the ones that are doing it every day and have been for decades.
100%.
That's why we do what we do, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's also going to be a good indicator for people to also be skeptical once this market starts to improve. Now, we all remember 2020, 2021, where we saw like the big shift, skies falling. There wasn't a lot of new type of products available 2019, early 2020. Then all of a sudden, after everyone digested the COVID and real estate had this new meaning, and it seemed like the sky was the limit. You had all these new programs coming out, all these new, hey, we can do this for you, we can do this. You don't, almost too good to be true. And I would just urge a lot of people to be very, very cautious of that, because you're going to start seeing that pop up here, is my guess, in the next 6 to 8 months. And I'd be very, very wary of all those, Larry.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Matt, because I'm getting more and more questions because about a week or two ago, the Trump administration they basically signaled that we are in a national housing emergency. That they declared that, and since that was announced, that they really, like you said, a lot of influencers out there are kind of guessing exactly what the administration is going to do. To try to, help with this housing emergency, as they're calling it. And some are saying that they could, auction some federal land off for housing. They could make, permitting faster or zoning faster for homes, lowering closing costs. But some are even talking about other kind of loan products, like 40-year terms like we used to have, or even 80-20 loans. But so really, none of that has really been announced. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, Matt, because, some of that could be thrown out there again. And we're not sure exactly, what this is going to look like, but it's something, that we're keeping an eye on, and we'll definitely be announcing on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I wonder if, remember a few episodes back, we talked about when Phoenix changed the rules to add guest houses. And there's a special word for it that is escaping me right now.
Yes, ADUs, actually.
ADUs. Thank you so much. Have you, since then, have you seen any more of your clients maybe taking out home equities to do that? Okay, can we talk just a little bit about that? Do you have any success stories?
Yeah, we definitely have seen more of those because this was in California where they, obviously are having a little bit more of affordability issue in housing out there than they are here. But now that prices have gone up so much, Arizona kind of rolled out a rule for Phoenix where ADUs are allowed. And it's really just kind of like a second unit in the back of your house, actually. And we've had some people take advantage of the fact that these are allowed now, especially because, multi-generational households are really kind of the thing right now, where more families are living under one roof as there's some aging boomers out there who need housing. And so we have had a few of our clients take out home equity lines of credit to build the ADU in the back, and they've seen a lot of success with that. So that is really exciting for affordability, and we might be seeing more and more of those being built and some home resales, because I think that's going to be a lot of really attractive for sellers out there building these ADUs that give the option for that multi-generational households.
Yeah,
100%. It caters a lot to the people that are moving here from the other sides of the country in that phase of retirement. I also think it just makes your property a little bit, it diversifies it, what you can do with it. And so I always think that's a really good investment if someone finds themselves in the position of like, hey, how can I fix my house? Can I create equity, put myself in a position that I'm not going to spend too much that I'm never going to get back on, but also set myself up to maybe have a little bit more of an exit strategy. So I very much really support that. But yeah,
awesome.
and that going back to what we were saying before, and even like you're saying, a lot of the loan programs that are coming out, I think there's going to be some really interesting ones for sure. And I think it's very important for anyone listening or jumping into this market. Once again, talk to your lender, talk to your realtor. And where I was also kind of going with that was like a lot of the iBuyers. I've started seeing a few new programs where they're like coming out with this, we'll purchase your home now. We'll give you 2/3. We'll rent it back to you at like a rate. And all these really almost seem too good to be true, get you the money you need. You can still speculate on its value. And I just find all that stuff to be very, not predatory, but I do think people don't need to make that step if they were really to look into what their options are and how much that convenience fee of doing this really costs them in the long run. And I think it would be jaw-dropping when they penciled it out.
Totally agree. And I think it's predatory. I think that they are using people's fears against them.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
100%.
Anyway, all right, guys. Anything else that we feel like we should add before we say goodbye?
This has been great. We covered a ton.
I think we did.
Yeah.
All right,
100%.
buyers out there, just know you heard it here. This is your window. Go out and get them while they're still there. All right, guys, if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Team EvoAZ. That's our handle. There you will find this playlist and many more. Scroll down just a little bit to get this one. This one is the first one because it's the most important one, right, team? That's right.
Absolutely. Thumbs up on that.
Absolutely. If you prefer to listen, maybe you drive a lot, hike a lot, bike a lot, then over on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Arizona Real Estate Radio. There you will find us, follow, click the bell to notify. Make sure you become a sub, right? I just learned that word. We appreciate it. And we will see you next month. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Looking to buy or sell in Arizona's hottest neighborhoods? Meet Team EvoAZ, your Arizona real estate experts, driven by data, powered by passion. Meet Matthew Lambert and Katie Holly Lambert, the powerhouse duo behind Team EvoAZ at eXp Realty. With their talented team of agents, they're making Arizona real estate personal and powerful. Trusted, tenacious, Team EvoAZ. Team EvoAZ offers full-service real estate, powered by strategy, experience, heart, and a passion for helping people move forward. Ready to make your move? Visit www.evoaz.com and follow us on social media to connect with us.